All right, welcome back, fans of Virginia Wrestling. This is our Quarantine Conversations with Virginia College Coaches. And today we are fortunate to have the Apprentice School Builders head coach, Micah Amrozowicz. And we're going to talk today a little bit about his school. They wrestle in the NCWA. And, you know, it's a great opportunity for kids. So, Micah, how are things going here in quarantine? Talk to me a little bit about what's new down there in Newport News.
All right. Well, you know, quarantine's going well, as well as it can go. We're you know, a shipyard first, school second, athlete third. So we're essential personnel. So we're still building ships. So if my wrestlers want to show up to work, they're showing up to work, and they're getting on those carriers and the subs, and they're doing their thing.
I see, you know, looking at your roster, you have people from across the country coming to the Apprentice School, and a lot of people working with sheet metal, a lot of people doing steam fitting. You know, what are you looking for when you're looking for a kid who might want to be a builder?
Well, the first thing I look for is from a yard standpoint, I want to make sure that they're a good fit for the school and for the shipyard before I even worry about them being good wrestlers. So unlike maybe some other sports in the past, I actually try to scare them off. You know, when they say, "Oh, I want to be a welder." You'd be surprised how many people want to be welders. And then you tell them, "Well, have you ever caught on fire before? You got long hair. It looks flammable. You're probably get a lot of scars on your arm. It's very hot." So we're honest with them, you know, probably overly honest. We probably paint a worse picture, you know, and the great part about it is when we're interviewing these guys, you know, we've got my entire coaching staff interviewing them all at one time, and we're trying to, you know, give them a realistic idea of what they're going to get into. And the great part is the entire coaching staff is a product of the school.
Okay. Well, that's huge that you all have that. You can dive down deep with these kids and understand the concept of being a little bit more than just a college and an athletic department. You guys building people who are not – will they all get a job with Northrop Grumman when they have completed the program?
So let me go ahead and explain how the school works. So first off, you know, we're owned by Huntington Ingalls. It's Newport News Shipbuilding.
Right.
The Apprentice Schools, you don't pay a tuition to go to the school. You're a paid employee. So you're a college student that's getting paid to build ships and submarines. So when you graduate, you already have a job. So you can continue in that job, or you can leave. There's no obligation. You could leave and go back to, you know, Pennsylvania, get a Boilermaker job, or you can, you know, move up in the company. And a lot of people stay. Even though there's no obligation, because there is a lot of opportunity for growth. So you end up with a lot of guys that try to become supervisors pretty much right out of the gate. And that's pretty much the route that I went. So when we look at wrestlers to come in, the great thing about wrestlers is they're already competitive, right? And the school at the Apprentice School is very competitive from the get-go. There was an article out where they compared the acceptance rate to Harvard.
Wow.
Obviously it's the accolades to get into Harvard are probably a little different, but the amount of people applying to get in the Apprentice School and the amount of people they're allowing into the Apprentice School was comparable. And at the end of the day, my job is to make sure, you know, they walk the stage in 4 years or 7, depending on what apprenticeship they go for. And my idea of being a successful coach is I want as many wrestlers in upper management as I can. You know, let's extend these tentacles as far as we can in the company. And I want a connection everywhere I go. That's the way we've looked at it, you know, and it's really interesting to see over the last 14 years how many people have really moved up in the company. And I think wrestlers tend to do well.
Well, I mean, Forbes said it, right? They're the best employees are wrestlers. They know how to fight. They know how to compete. They are unafraid of hard work, and I think that's a great opportunity for, you know, especially your school at the Apprentice School there in Newport News. So obviously you talked to us a little bit about what it means to be a builder and what it means to wrestle for the Apprentice School. But when you are building your team, and obviously the demands are different for a student at the Apprentice School. What kind of room do you run in terms of the culture of the room, the expectations of going to practice, the expectations of competing? How do you build the program there?
Well, it's obviously my philosophies have changed over 14 years, as the kid dynamics have changed over the 14 years. But to be honest, what I found is, I'm not here to drive people away. I want to keep as many people in the room as I can. And part of doing that is finding a fine balance between working hard and staying fun, which is hard to do, especially. But we let them know this is, we're going to be serious. We take this serious. We want to compete with the best in the country, whether it's D3 or D2. It doesn't matter. And obviously we want to compete at the NCWA level. We got our arch nemesis down the street, Liberty. Love those guys, but we like to compete with them too. But fundamentally, we work hard. We don't have the opportunity to get, 2 or 3 workouts in a day. There's not enough time in the day to have, that individual workout with the coach. So really it's a straightforward mindset. When it's time for practice, we're going to dig, and we're going to dig hard, and we're going to get in and out. Cause they're working. So they wake up at, sometimes before 5 a.m. every day. And that's just to find a parking spot. And then they go to the shipyard and they're working from 7 to 3:30. And they're coming straight from work to go work out. That's what we call that shipyard hard. So
that's a commitment that, like you said, a lot of people can't do.
No.
When you're coming, working your tail off all day long and then having to come and have, Yuko and get on them on a practice room. So you must have to keep it light for those guys.
Well, we try to keep it light, but not often, right? So just when you start to see, that droopy face where they look like, they're just dying, every now and again, we'll throw out a game here and there. We develop, we call it biggie ball, where we'll play like Carolina football in the gym, but the way to score is you got to get the football in the basketball hoop, and it's fun. It's on the wrestling mats. It's a good time. But, back to, the normal practice, I only have approximately, an hour and 45 minutes to really get it. And so we move fast. We teach a lot in a short period of time, but we work hard the entire time. And so we usually do like a boot camp the moment we get in for a good anywhere, depending on what time of the season it is. If it's closer to the end of the season, the boot camps are longer because they need to spend less time, drilling and more time, or wrestling, but more time just physically getting in shape. At the beginning of the year, it might be only 20 minutes, and it's usually like a real fun circuit. I like to call it fun. They probably don't think it's fun. And then we drive into technique, and then we'll do some live wrestling. But it's really hard from 4:15 to 6, and we put a limit on it. We tell ourselves we're going to get out at 6 o'clock every day, because at the end of the day, these guys got to wake, go to home. They got to do homework still. They got to find a way to eat healthy. They're living in apartments, and and they got to get a good night's sleep, because they got to get up at 5 a.m. the next day and do it all over again. So,
wow. Well, I tell you, I respect what you guys do, and having a conversation. I've actually had some conversations about Apprentice over the years that, we have so many kids whose parents say you have to go to this 4-year university, and these kids, that's not what their mojo is, man. They want to work with their hands. They want to be involved. They want to apprentice in a trade. And what you guys have is the perfect storm. So you and I were talking a little bit before we got online here, and just about how you are scheduling. Obviously, you're working with true men on your team. How are you getting the schedule out there so you can compete besides going to some tournaments? I mean, who's willing to schedule you guys, and how do you do that?
Well, I tell you, it's changed a lot over the last 14 years. It's really become, because I think we've built up a reputation to where, anybody lets us in because they treat us like a D3 team, truthfully. But I remember at the beginning, we had a hard time finding good dual meets. And it's still kind of hard to get people to travel to Newport News for a home meet. But, You know, if I got to travel to, 5 hours to get a tough dual meet, I'll do it any day of the week. So we schedule many D3 tournaments, D2, D3 tournaments all year long. Our guys get about average of 50 wrestling matches a season, which is a lot. And because we go to a lot of tournaments, everybody on our roster is getting a lot of matches instead of just the starter. And we still get our dual meets in. We get 1 or 2 at home, and then we got our Virginia duels, we got our national duels, so we're still getting dual meets in. But because we go to all these individual tournaments, and we call it a gauntlet up until January, because we're going to Ursinus, we're going to York, we're going to all these tough places. And by the time the back half of the season's coming, where we're just looking at conference and nationals, we tell the guys, like, look, you've already wrestled way tougher competition than you're going to see at conference and nationals. The toughest competition's behind you, and we also motivate them by saying, none of these guys are going to the shipyard and, slugging a sledgehammer all day or holding a rock grinder over their head. You've developed muscles. They're man muscles. These guys haven't developed yet.
So you grew up wrestling in Virginia. You were on national teams back in the day when I used to coach, wrestled for Kellum High School. How far is your reaches in that Virginia Beach, that Southeast Virginia? How are you building relationships there with the community?
Well, I tell you what, I mean, I've got a lot of, coaching friends all over Virginia Beach. They're great, but you'd be surprised how we don't get that many wrestlers out of Virginia Beach. I watched Rulo's interview, and he said, what's the one thing you could do? Is stop telling your kid he's a D1 wrestler. Well, there's a lot to that. A lot of Virginia Beach guys, all those 6A guys, including Robinson, you guys think you're all D1, which is not bad. It's not bad. It is what it is.
Trust me, that's not always coming from the coach, though.
I know it's a mindset, and I don't hate on the mindset, because I had the mindset coming out of high school. I get it. So a lot of times, we're hitting up, for some reason, our sweet spot's been 4A, 5A for us. We really developed a good relationship with Brook Point lately. In fact, we got some good guys on our team right now from Brook Point, and we're trying to get a few more from there. And then, Nansman River, right down the street from the shipyard, coached by Trip Seed. Yep. He's really doing a great job down there, and we grew up around in the same era. So I think we're developing a good relationship there, and he's got some guys that are interested, and I think he's got a really good program he's turning up too. But for the most part, I want to talk to anybody and everybody that's interested in becoming an apprentice, and then we'll weed through that. You know what I mean? So for developing relationships, we've got a lot of relationships. It's just finding the kids that actually want to, work for a living. As soon as they find out there's no summer breaks and fall breaks, they're like, I think I'd rather go to JMU and not wrestle. I'm like, okay.
That takes a special kid. And I've known, several kids from Northern Virginia who've come down, and, they're working hard for a living now and making money. And, there's lots of money in the trades out there. So same question I've asked all the other coaches, and you kind of hit on it just a second ago, but as a coach and as a community member and as a stakeholder in the sport, what can VAWA or what can coaches be doing to benefit your program?
I think the biggest thing that we need to see is start seeing more people in the stands. The wrestling community is such a tight-knit community, but the problem is you don't see how tight-knit we are until there's a problem. Right. And I mean, look at the whole, ODU thing. Now all of a sudden, people are popping out of the woodworks. We should have been packing that stand. We should have made it inevitable that wrestling is, one of their top sports. And that goes at every level. I think, I struggle with it too. It's like, that's my number one question I ask myself and my coaching staff every year. And I ask the leaders on my wrestling team every year. It's like, okay, how do we put butts in seats? And once we figure that out, I don't think wrestling is going to have as big of a problem, because I think wrestling is one of those sports that once you get there and you see the excitement, you're going to get hooked. But you got to actually get somebody to show up, and that's the big deal. Yeah. And I think we need to really develop local fan groups. I'd love to go to the mall or go to the oceanfront and see a bunch of kids wearing Apprentice wrestling gear. So, I need to work on that too.
Yeah, and I think as a sport, this whole quarantine thing has opened our eyes to how much we really miss it and how much we love it. And there are a lot of people who just can't get enough of it right now, and that's why on like the Rofkin website, I think there's 44 right now posters for wrestling, bigger than any other sport, and we definitely all have to do a better job of selling what we're doing. So looking forward, what are you excited about moving forward with the program? Obviously, you were 10 years as the assistant. You've been there 4 years as the head coach. Are there some things that you're really looking forward to that you've marked it on the calendar or in general?
Oh yeah, taking out Liberty. Yeah. So next year will be my 4th year as the head coach, and my first year we lost to Liberty at the national tournament by a half a point. The next year we lost to Liberty, we took second again, and then last year, well, this past season, I should say, we had 6 in the semis, 6 in the blood round, and the company called and told me I had to pull everyone out of the tournament and come home. So we had Liberty on the ropes. They were in the lead at the time, but I'm telling you, it was going to be a dogfight, and I was really looking forward to it. And so what I'm marking on the map is what we're going to do next season. And I've never seen my team so hungry. We have a group chat, and all they're doing is they're challenging each other. They're posting videos like who can do more than 27 pull-ups, who's waking up at 4 a.m. to do sprints in the parking lot. I've never seen them this motivated. So in a way, the quarantine's kind of helped, push these guys because they're hungry. And I'm only losing, 2 seniors. And I'm bringing in probably close to 11 plus people next season. So we're going to be tough, and I can't wait to see what we bring to the table, and it's going to be really fun. I can't wait.
That's amazing. So Apprentice School has several sports, right? I mean, it's not a wrestling only. I know that they have football. And what are some other things that you can get behind within your university if you're an apprentice working on the ships there?
So from a school aspect, obviously we got football, baseball, basketball, women's basketball, and golf. But we also have clubs like they got a bass fishing team.
Nice.
And then they also have engineering groups. So it's really easy to get involved at the school. And it's a small student body, so everybody knows everybody. It's only about 700 students at a time. And really, you have 2 options. Do I want to, I can really focus on the social aspects, or I can focus on sports. Things with sports is, the year goes by so fast. I don't remember the first half of my apprenticeship. Before you knew it, it was over. So they can really get behind everything from a sport aspect. And then honestly, they can really focus in, work overtime if they want on the weekends, and, really focus on their career. So it's a different opportunity. The apprentices are starting off, I think, at like $19 an hour now, and they're graduating making over $60,000. So it's a good opportunity.
That's a great opportunity. I'm looking forward to working with you in the future. And I know that you've talked to me a little bit about during the state tournament doing an NCWA event after it. Well, it's going to be down in your neck of the woods next year outside in Virginia Beach. They're going to be doing it at the new facility right over there by the convention center. So I'd love to, have you come and work with VAWA on that. And I think we could make that an awesome event the day after. But I think we need to make sure that we're knitting you into the fabric of what we're doing in the Commonwealth, because you're doing one heck of a job.
Thank you.
Anything else for us before we go?
What I'd like to see? I think I'd like to see. Remember back in the day, they used to have a D1 state championship tournament. We need to bring something back. There's so many small colleges in Virginia. We need to have a small college battle in Virginia. I think that'd be fun. But other than that, hey, apprenticeship is a good opportunity. Trades are not a bad thing, and give me a call.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure that when we link this to all of our social media, we make sure that we have the university's website on there too, and your contact information. But you know, I think it's a great opportunity, and I can't wait to see what happens with the builders.
Thank you.
All right. So, Coach Amrozowicz, did I get it right?
Yes, sir.
I'm doing it. I think I've known you since you were little. I would screw it up on purpose, but now we got to be professional and I got to say it right all the time. So we're going to make that happen.
That's right.
Well, you know, I'm going to have Coach Castro on the line tomorrow morning, and I'm going to put it out there. We're going to get a nasty Liberty Apprentice battle next year. We're going to pack it. We're going to pack the seats, and we're going to make sure that we see you guys on top.
Sounds great, man.
All right. Well, again, Coach, we're glad to have you, and if we can do anything, let us know, and we hope for your health and safety for you and the whole program.
Thanks for everything you guys are doing at VAWA for the wrestling program in Virginia. Thank you.
Awesome.